body is going to do some pretty insane stuff after you have a baby. And this can be really intimidating if you don't know what's normal and what requires a call to your care provider. So I'm going to go through a lot of different symptoms, experiences that you can expect postpartum. But I want you to know that even if I tell you something that is generally normal, if it makes you feel really uncomfortable when you experience it yourself, never be shy to call your care provider. If in doubt, always call your care provider. So the first one is postpartum discharge, called lochia, and it is mainly composed of blood. I personally had no idea that I would bleed so much after a vaginal birth. And this is very, very normal. You are going to have a lot of blood, a lot of fluid come out of you. I know that sounds gross, but please know that it is very, very, very normal. What you should be concerned about is if you bleed through a thick pad within 1 hour, or if you have a blood clot that's the size of about a golf ball or bigger. It's a giant blood clot. So smaller blood clots are normal. But again, if you're worried about anything, call your care provider. And if you're having that blood loss and that's accompanied by any other symptoms, say a fever, extreme fatigue, dizziness, call your care provider. But again, know that you're going to have blood come out fairly heavy for the first few days after birth. It will slow down after a week or so, but you might have, spotting and different discharge that comes out of you for maybe even up to 4 weeks or so after birth. And normal is different for each woman, depending on the type of birth that she had, depending on any special circumstances that she had before she had the baby. So have the conversation with your care provider. Ask them, how much blood, how much discharge do you think I can expect postpartum? And swelling. Swelling is a huge thing to expect after you have your baby. At least for 2 or 3 days after birth, your body is still going to be holding on to a lot of that excess blood and fluid. And just know that it will start to drain out of you as you begin to move, as you drink a lot of water. And it's pretty fascinating to watch your face and your hands and your feet start to get smaller and smaller and smaller as that swelling subsides. If the swelling is incredibly tight or painful, that is something that's very important for your care provider to know. But if it's just the same kind of swelling as you had during pregnancy, be gentle with yourself and know that the swelling will subside. And just drink tons of water. That will help significantly. So if you're not excited enough about postpartum symptoms, get ready for hemorrhoids. Yay! Most women experience hemorrhoids after they have the baby. These are blood vessels in your anus that get pushed out by pressure when you're having constipation during pregnancy, or especially when you are pushing the baby out. If you're pushing really, really hard, it's very natural to experience mini hemorrhoids sometimes after you have the baby. While these aren't necessarily incredibly painful, they can look weird, they can feel uncomfortable, a little bit itchy. They're normal, but they really suck. But there are ways that you can minimize the discomfort, the icky factor. You will likely get medicated wipes after birth. You can put those on there. There are different creams that you can use for hemorrhoids. You can do a sitz bath, spelled SITZ, that help to minimize the discomfort of hemorrhoids. One of the main things you can do is drink lots of water and eat lots and lots of fiber, because one thing that can agitate the hemorrhoids is if you're really having to strain to have a bowel movement. You'll likely get stool softeners after you have the baby. Go ahead and use those to make your bowel movements as soft and as easy as possible. And just know that with time, those hemorrhoids will go away on their own. The one thing that you should let your care provider know is if you also have any blood in your stools. Sometimes this is normal with hemorrhoids, but sometimes it could be a sign that you need to get things checked out. So again, if you have any blood when you wipe or in your stools, let your care provider know. Another fun side effect of having a baby is you might feel like you're going to go bald because you will likely experience a lot of hair loss for the first few weeks after you have the baby. You will not go bald, I promise you. What happens is that because of hormones during pregnancy, you don't shed nearly as much hair as you usually do. So you might notice that your hair becomes very thick, very beautiful, and it's great. It's a nice side effect of pregnancy. But after your hormones go all wacky after you have the baby, you start to lose that extra hair that would have normally been shed during pregnancy. So it's very unlikely that your hair will be thinner than before you got pregnant, but it'll likely go back to its pre-pregnancy thickness. So just breathe into it, be gentle with yourself. Know that your hair is not all going to fall out. Unclog your drains. This is when some moms go and get that mom cut. They chop off all their hair, number one, because it's a lot easier after you have the baby. But number two, they're kind of going into shock about how thin their hair is starting to appear, even though that's likely what it looked like before they had the baby. So get a haircut if you want to, if that's going to make you feel good, or just settle into it, put your hair up in a bun, and know that it'll all settle out and you will stop shedding eventually. And the next one is marathon soreness. So about 48 hours after you have your baby, you're likely going to feel like you ran a marathon because during birth, whether you realize it or not, you're likely exerting almost all of the muscles in your body, even in your neck, in your feet, and everything becomes so sore a few days after birth. This is normal. It's usually not painful, but if it is a little bit uncomfortable, you can take any medication that is okay by your care provider, maybe some Advil, something like Tylenol, take a warm bath, rest. Again, please, throughout all of these symptoms, just be really, really gentle with yourself and rest as much as you can. Nurture your body, nurture your baby's body. Take it easy. Some women believe that after they have their baby, they're going to go back to that pre-pregnancy flat belly. And then they're very disappointed to see that it still looks like they're 4 to 6 months pregnant after having the baby. That belly pooch is very normal. For the first few days after birth, the pooch is mainly made up of swelling, but there's likely some excess belly fat there that will eventually go away. Do not put yourself on a strict diet right away. Don't go crazy with exercise. Know that breastfeeding really helps to start peeling off that excess belly fat. And with time, you'll start to slim down. Do not, again, restrict your food. You need to be eating to allow that breast milk to come in. Don't start going crazy with the exercise. Ease back into it, gentle, slow walking, light swimming, and focus on loving yourself. Don't shame yourself for having a little belly pooch or maybe some bigger body parts than you did before you had your baby. Focus on loving yourself and honoring what your body is capable of instead of what it looks like. Honor the fact that it's able to breastfeed, the fact that it just grew and birthed a human being and now it's nurturing that human being. That is incredible. Your body deserves to be honored as this sacred temple of life. And one of the last most common symptoms that you can expect postpartum is kind of feeling like your organs are just going to fall out of you, especially when you're having a bowel movement. Everything feels as though it's kind of sunk down. And that's true. Everything was reorganized. All of your organs were reorganized when your uterus expanded and you had this huge human in your belly. So it's normal that it might feel a little strange as everything is finding its way back home. Now, if you really feel like your uterus is sinking down, even slightly coming out of your vagina, this could be a sign of uterine prolapse. You should definitely let your doctor know about that, and they can help to rectify that situation. It's not a huge emergency, but it is definitely something that you need to let your care provider know. But when you're having a bowel movement, even when you're going pee, if it feels like things are sinking down a little bit, it's probably normal. But if you're worried, call your care provider. If in doubt, call your care provider and give your body time to settle into this new landscape that it's living in. You have this brand new body that went through this huge transition. Give it time, give it love, and you will return to feeling like normal, whatever your new normal is.